I'm sure we all remember history class in the early years when they would make us sit down and they would teach us about historical events like the Civil and Vietnam War. But as I've looked back on those memories, I've noticed something. Whenever my teacher would talk about the Civil War, she would only talk about the North. Whenever she talked about the Vietnam War, she only talked about how Americans went in to free the country of communism. She never talked about the South or the Vietnamese perspective. I kept thinking about that and I realized that this is not a good thing. People need to know both sides of each event. If we only teach with one perspective in mind, we will only know one side of the whole story. Take the Civil War, for example. We were all told that the North went to war with the South because of slavery. For as long as I can remember, this is what we were taught. If you look at the opposite side, you will see what the South had to say about the whole thing. The government wanted the South to give them taxes in response to the South making a bunch of money from their plantations. Over time, as the South kept getting more and more money, the government kept asking for more and more money from them. And eventually, they had enough of it and they wanted to secede from the U.S. We've never looked at how the South saw this whole event and just decided to take the North story as the only story. And because of this, we form negative opinions on a situation we do not fully understand. Some people only know one side, and then because of this, they begin to dislike the South. People have said horrible things about them, like fighting for the right to keep slaves. Yeah, those are states we want to keep. We should have let them go when they wanted to leave, but no, we had to kill 500,000 people so they'd stay part of our special union. The man who wrote this had formed an obvious bias against the South so much that he made an entire website to just rant about them and how they're awful people. With sour opinions comes prejudice of cultures. We all know about 9/11 and we all know how Americans are so outraged by this event, but what some of you may or may not know is that the people have been taking out their rage on Muslims. A recent report stated that hate crimes against Muslims in the US jumped after 9/11 and attacks remain high more than 13 years later. After this event, Americans have decided to look at Muslims as terrorists and nothing more. They never bothered to look deeper into the situation. This can't really continue. We need to grab our old history books and throw them out the window. It's not just the teachers that need to do this, but people in general need to stop only looking at just one side of the story.